In the heart of a village nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods, lived a lamp maker named Alaric. His hands, though calloused and worn, crafted light itself. From simple clay and delicate glass, he fashioned lamps that didn't just illuminate homes, but seemed to hold a piece of the sun, a flicker of a star. But his greatest creation, his most cherished light, was his daughter Ilara. From the time she could walk, Ilara was her father's shadow. Her small hands mimicked his, learning to shape the clay, to polish the glass, to trim the wicks. He didn't just teach her a craft, he taught her a philosophy. Ilara, he would say, his voice as warm as the kilns, a lamp is more than just oil and fire. It's a promise that no matter how deep the darkness, a single flame can show the way. It's a symbol of hope. Her childhood was painted in the warm glow of their workshop. A symphony of tapping hammers, the soft hum of the potter's wheel, and her father's gentle laughter. The scent of hot wax, cooling clay, and wood smoke was the perfume of her youth. Every evening, as dusk settled over the village, they would light a lamp together, its glow pushing back the shadows, a nightly ritual of love and light. One autumn, a fierce wind swept through the valley, angry and wild. It howled like a wolf and rattled the window panes. That night, a stray spark from a neighbor's hearth, carried on a gust, found a new home in the dry thatch of a roof. The fire spread with terrifying speed, a roaring beast consuming everything in its path. Panic erupted. Villagers fled their homes, their screams swallowed by the crackle and roar of the flames. Alaric, ever the protector, rushed to help his neighbors, his voice a beacon of calm amidst the chaos. He guided families through the smoke-filled lanes, his strong arms carrying children to safety. Ilara watched from the edge of the village, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She saw her father, a silhouette against the raging inferno, turn back one last time to help an elderly woman trapped in her cottage. It was the last time she ever saw him. The fire raged for hours, and when the sun rose, it illuminated a scene of devastation. The village was a mosaic of ash and sorrow, but the deepest void was in Ilara's heart. The workshop, their sanctuary of light, was gone. Her father, the source of her world's warmth, was gone. The world, once so bright, was now cast in an endless, suffocating darkness. Grief was a heavy cloak Ilara couldn't shed. Days bled into weeks. The villagers, kind and compassionate, tried to reach her, offering food, comfort, and words of solace. But she was a ship lost in a fog, unable to see the shore. The light had gone out of her life, and she saw no reason to relight it. She would sit for hours, staring at the charred remains of their workshop, the silence amplifying the echo of her father's absence. One evening, as she sat huddled in the twilight, a memory surfaced. Her father's voice warm and clear. A lamp is a promise that no matter how deep the darkness, a single flame can show the way. The words, once a simple lesson, now felt like a lifeline. She remembered his hands, his smile, the love he poured into every lamp. His legacy wasn't in the building that was now ash, but in the knowledge he had passed to her. A tiny spark ignited within her. It was small, fragile, but it was there. The next morning, Elara rose with a purpose she hadn't felt in months. She walked to the riverbank, her hands digging into the cool, damp clay, just as her father had taught her. Her fingers, still clumsy with grief, began to shape the earth. It was difficult. Tears mixed with the water and clay, each piece a vessel for her sorrow. The first few attempts were misshapen, collapsing under the weight of her pain, but she persisted. She salvaged what little she could from the ruins, a few tools, a shard of unbroken glass. She rebuilt a small kiln, brick by painful brick. Slowly, painstakingly, a new lamp took form. It wasn't as perfect as her father's, but as she held it, she felt a flicker of his presence. She lit the wick, and a soft, gentle light filled the small space. In that flame, she saw not just fire, but resilience. She saw her father's love, and so Elara began to make lamps again. Each one was an act of remembrance, a conversation with her father's memory. She poured her love, her loss, and her burgeoning hope into the clay. She didn't make them to sell. Instead, she placed them along the village paths, at the edge of the woods, and on the windowsills of the rebuilt homes. Each night she would walk the paths, lighting them one by one. The village, once shrouded in the gloom of its loss, began to glow again, a constellation of small, steady lights. The lamps became a quiet symbol of the village's shared recovery. They were a testament not to what was lost, but to what remained: community, strength, and the enduring power of hope. The soft light was a comfort, a silent promise that they would rebuild, that life would continue. Years passed. Elara grew, her hands becoming as skilled as her father's, her heart healing around the scar of her loss. The village thrived, its story of tragedy and rebirth woven into its very fabric. One brutal winter's night, a blizzard descended upon the valley without warning. The wind howled with a renewed fury, and snow fell in a blinding, disorienting curtain. A group of travelers, merchants, heading to the next town, were caught in the storm. Lost and freezing, their path vanished, their hope dwindling with the fading light. The cold was seeping into their bones, and despair began to set in. Just as they were about to give up, one of them spotted a faint, warm glow through the swirling snow. It was a single point of light, small but unwavering. They stumbled towards it, their frozen limbs moving with renewed urgency. As they got closer, they saw another light, and then another, a trail of gentle beacons cutting through the storm's fury. The lights were Elara's lamps. They lined the path to the village, each flame a steadfast guide in the white wilderness. The travelers followed the chain of light, their hearts soaring with relief. The lamps led them out of the storm and into the safety of the village, where they were met with warm hearths and open arms. When they asked who had saved them, the villagers smiled and pointed to a quiet woman with kind eyes and hands smudged with clay. It was Elara, The travelers, their voices thick with gratitude, told her how her small lights had been their salvation, a beacon of hope when all seemed lost. Standing there, surrounded by the community she had helped to heal, Ilara finally understood the full meaning of her father's words. Her work was not just about honoring his memory, it was about continuing his promise. The light she created, born from her own darkness, had reached out and guided others home. Her personal grief had been transformed into a collective beacon. Alara realized that even the smallest flame, the most humble lamp, holds the power to conquer the deepest darkness. It's a reminder that our own light, even when we feel it's barely a flicker, can be a guide for someone else lost in their own storm. So, no matter the sorrow, no matter the loss, we must keep our own flame burning. For we never know whose path our little light might illuminate. Keep shining. Thank you so much for watching this story with us today. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales that warm the soul. We're grateful to have you here. Until next time, take care.